we continue with inflation, the measurement of inflation. So in the previous class we talked about consumer price index, which measures inflation in the perspective of consumers. So today we're going to PPI, producer price index. And for producer price index, it measures inflation in the perspective of manufacturers. So for manufacturers, we have, as soon as goods are produced, it moves it moves through the distribution channel to either the wholesaler or the retailer. So both retailers and wholesalers, they are part of our PPI. You get what I'm saying here? So the producer price index is used to measure the change in the price of a typical basket of goods bought and sold by the manufacturers of an economy. So it simply talks about the input prices, the price of raw materials, the fuel used by firms in the cost of production, and also the factory gate price, which is
What's that?
the factory gate price is the amount of money spent, or the cost you spend in the cost of taking the product out of the manufacturers to the wholesaler. That's the distribution channel.
I don't get it.
As soon as goods are produced, the goods, they have to leave the factory,
Yes.
right?
They
In
go,
the course of leaving that factory,
they go to the firms.
yeah. So the amount of money spent on that output is called factory gate price. There's input, there are factors of production: land, labor, capital, and enterprise. These are factor inputs. They have to go through processing to give us output, which is goods or services. So the amount of money spent on those outputs is called the factory gate price. Do you get it? So the price of output is called factory gate price. Is it clear?
Yes.
So the input prices are the price of land, labor, capital used. Is it clear now?
Yes,
Good.
sir.
So that's about producer price index. So we'll go to the use of PPI. So I wrote, the PPI is an indicator of future trends in the rate of inflation. So because we use CPI or CPI, consumer price index, to know what the price of the amount of the value of goods now compared to the previous year. The same goes to the PPI. It's an indicator that inflation is increasing in the economy or not increasing in the economy. You get the point here?
Yes.
There's inflation, and because it's inflation,
Can I answer my dad, please?
yeah, sure. So we'll continue with the use of PPI. The first use of PPI is that it's the indicator to know what happens with prices in the future. So it's an indicator of future trends in the rate of inflation. Because whatever we value the price of products to, we will compare it with the previous year. So comparing it with the previous year will tell us if there's high inflation rate or not. So that's an indicator. So retailers may use it as a yardstick to pass on higher prices to consumers. So for retailers, they use the PPI also. As soon as retailers understand that they are going to buy the cost they have to pay to producers for certain products is high, they would know that they have to pass on that price to consumers. So it's an indicator to them. It's a yardstick of passing a higher price to consumers. So they would know that the price we paid last year for this product is this. Now this is the amount we have to pay to producers. So it's a yardstick to them. Because if we paid $5 on each product last year, that's what we paid to our producers last year. Now we are paying $7. It means there's additional $2. There's inflation of $2, right? So that means whatever price we have to charge our consumers would have to increase. So it's a yardstick for retailers to pass on a higher cost, a higher price to consumers. So they would know, through PPI, they would know if a high price is going to be charged by producers or not. And if they already know, it means they are going to be able to transfer that high price to consumers. Do you get the point? There's PPI, which is an indicator to know what the price is now and what the price was last year. So now that we know that the amount we are going to pay to our producers, the suppliers are high. So we have to be able to pass it on to consumers. So PPI allows that to happen. Do you get the point there? The third one, a rise in the PPI will likely cause a rise in inflation, which is measured using CPI. So if there's a rise in PPI, then definitely the CPI will also increase. Do you understand? If producer price index is increasing, it will automatically increase the consumer price index. So that means with PPI, an increase in PPI would indicate that there's inflation within the economy. Because PPI, if PPI is increasing, CPI will also increase. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any question about that? So that is PPI and the use of PPI. So that takes us to measuring unemployment. Are you there? Measuring unemployment. Here they wrote. Governments need to measure unemployment because it's an important measure of economic performance of an economy. So it's a measure of how well the economy is doing. You know, when we're doing our GDP, we talked about the production possibility curve, which is a graph that shows the combination of two goods that an economy can produce if all resources are fully utilized. So if all resources are fully employed, so that is what employment is about. So it is important for government of a country to measure the unemployment rate, because if the unemployment rate of a given country or economy is increasing, it would have meant that that country is not producing at its potential. So that means there are some unused, unemployed resources in the economy. Because if those resources are used, it would have meant that the economy will be producing more output. So those that are not working, those that are unemployed, are not contributing to the economy, or to the output of that economy. Because you are not engaged, it means you are not contributing to the output, either in terms of goods or services. Do you understand? So that is why governments have to measure the unemployment rate, because it is one of those things that talks about the economic performance of a country. Do you get the point there? So here I wrote, then government needs to measure unemployment because it is an important measure of economic performance. So the International Labour Organization, the ILO, set an international standard of measuring unemployment. As a result, unemployment can be compared between countries. You know, we cannot just compare unemployment rate between countries without a standard. So there is a measurement of unemployment rate within the economy, which is given by the International Labour Organization, ILO. So because it is ILO that gives us how to measure unemployment, it means unemployment rate in Libya is going to be the same as unemployment rate
Constant.
in anywhere in the country, because it's standard. So the way we're going to measure it in Libya is the same way we're going to measure it in Nigeria, Pakistan, wherever in the whole country. So that is why it is easy for us to measure. But if each country has the way of measuring their unemployment rate, then it will be difficult for us to compare countries. But now we can compare countries because we have a standard way of measuring unemployment rate. Do you understand?
Yes.
According to the International Labour Organization. So that's about that. So we have some definitions on unemployment. But before I go into the definition, what is unemployment itself? Unemployment simply means the inability of people to get a job. They are looking for a job, but they couldn't get one. So that is what unemployment is about. Unemployment occurs because certain individuals have been looking for jobs, they are seeking for employment, they have the willingness, the ability, they are within the age category to find a job, maybe from 16 to 65, but they are unable to get a job. That is unemployment. Do you get unemployment here? You have the willingness, the ability, you are within the age to get a job, but you couldn't find one. That is what unemployment is. But according to the International Labour Organization, the ILO defines unemployment as the inability of an individual to get a job within 4 weeks of seeking for that job, and is willing or she's willing to work after 2 weeks. That is unemployment. So I've been looking for a job for 4 weeks, I couldn't get one. And I'm making myself available if there's any within the next 2 weeks, I'm willing to work. So if you fall within this category, you are an unemployed person. Do you get the point of unemployment?
Sir.
According to International Labour Organization. So some definitions here. The population of working age. The working age here is this is the population for those in the age category of leaving school and retirement age. So the working age is those age between the leaving school, that's leaving school certificate, and the retirement age. So let's talk about 16 to 65. Do you understand?
Yes.
So that is the working age or the working population. Clear? Then we have the unemployed. For the unemployed here, these are number of people without a job but actively looking for a job in the last 4 weeks and are available to work in the next 2 weeks. So they are actively looking for a job for the past 1 month. They still don't get one, but they are willing to work in the next 2 weeks if there is any job available. So we call them unemployed. Do you get unemployed here?
Yes.
The next one. Then we have the employed. Those that are actively working, those that are engaged, we call them the employed. Are you with me?
Yes.
So the employed, these are the number of people who have work either part-time or full-time.
Full-time.
So they are employed people. Then we have the labor force. Why do we call it the labor force? It is the labor force because it's made up of those in employment and unemployed. It's the labor force. In the country, those who are engaged and those who are unemployed. So we call them unemployed according to the ILO because they've been looking for jobs for 1 month and they are willing to work in the next 2 weeks if there's any job for them. So they are unemployed. So they are part of the labor force, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have the employed, which is we talk the labor force, which is the employed people and the unemployed people. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Then we have the economically inactive. Sorry, I did the economically inactive first. Yeah, we call them economically inactive because these are people who, for example, do not work because they are students.
Disabled.
They are students. They are disabled. They are disabled, or they are parents that are at home taking care of children. So they are economically inactive. Not that they are unemployed. They are economically inactive. Do you get those that are economically inactive now?
Like me.
Like you're a student, yes. Do you get that? Good. Then we have underemployed. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
So we call them underemployed because this group of people, they want more hours of work.
Hours of labor.
Yeah, more hours of work. They are they are underemployed. So maybe I'm working 7 hours and I need more like 6 or 8 hours. So I'm underemployed because I still have some spare hours. I need to be occupied. You know, there's occupation, which is occupation is any productive activity which a person engage himself permanently to save his productivity time. So I want to save my productivity time. So because I still have some productive time that is not used, that means I'm underemployed. Do you understand underemployed there?
Mm-hmm.
Then in summary, we have population of the working age. It's between 16 to 65. So this comprises those that are economically active and those that are economically inactive. We call them the working population. Either they are economically active or economically inactive. Then we have the labor force. For the labor force, those are employed plus ILO unemployed. Do you get what the labor force is here?
Mm-hmm.
The labor force are probably, we can see them as economically active anyway. So these are those that are employed plus ILO unemployed. Because there are some people that are not willing to work. That is voluntary unemployment. Do you understand?
Yes.
So according to ILO, we call the labor force definition is the numbers of employed plus
Numbers of unemployed.
the numbers of ILO unemployed. So it has to be ILO unemployed based on the fact that you have to meet that category.
Constant.
Yeah, you have to meet up with that category before we consider you as unemployed. Some people will not even look for job. Some people, as soon as they look for job for 1 day or 2, they stop looking for job. They got discouraged. We cannot say they are unemployed because they stopped. But in as much as you have seek for employment for the last 4 weeks and you are willing to work in the next 2 weeks, then you are unemployed. Is the point clear?
Yes.
Any question about that?
No.
So that takes us to the labor force survey and the ILO unemployment rate. Are you there?
Yes.
So the labor force survey, we have the ILO unemployment rate. So for ILO unemployment rate, the formula it's about the formula now.
Mm-hmm.
The ILO unemployment rate is ILO unemployed divided by economically active population multiplied by 100. I think you know economically active population now, okay? Then for employment rate, we have number of employed divided by the population of the working age multiplied by 100. That is employment rate. The number of employed, those that are working, and divided by the population of the working age, which is from 16 to 65.
To 65.
Multiplied by 100. Then we have the activity rate or participation rate. For the activity or participation rate, we're talking about the number of active population that is economically active divided by the working population, which is from 16 to 65.
Yes.
The number of those that are economically active divided by the working age multiplied by 100. That gives us the activity rate or participation rate. And the last one is the inactivity rate, which is the number of those populations that are inactive, students, disabled, parents that take care of the children, divided by the working age population, which is from 16 to 65, multiplied by 100. Is it clear?
Mm-hmm.
Any question about that?
No.
So that takes us to underutilization of labor. Are you there? So the underutilization of labor rate, the formula is the sum of the number of persons who are unemployed and employed divided by the labor force multiplied by 100. The sum of those who are employed plus those who are unemployed according to ILO divided by the labor force, which is the working age from 16 to 65 multiplied by 100. Do you get it or not?
Yes, I do.
Do you get it?
Yes.
That is underutilization, labor force underutilization rate. But what is underutilization of labor means? We have underutilization of labor because the government or the economy is unable to generate jobs for those who are seeking for employment or those who are underemployed. That is underutilization of labor. Do you get underutilization of labor here? We call it underutilization of labor because the economy fails to generate job for those that are underemployed and those that are unemployed according to ILO. So that is underutilization of labor. Any question about it?
No.
So that's about inflation and unemployment. Thank you. So we have the activity.